it looked like somebody was bent over and had their head in the window of the deer blind, and it either heard me or smelt me, and he pulled his head out of the tent and stood straight up, and that shocked me. They don't make people that big.
The way it moved, almost as if it was gliding across the beach. I've never seen anything move like that in my life. They were screaming at each other in gibberish. It sounded like a language, and they were chuntering away back and forwards, back and forwards, back and forwards. I know what a bear looks like, and there is no way on this planet that what I saw were bears.
What are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
Hi, this is Ian on the eastern shores of England. You better believe it. All around the world we're listening to Sasquatch Chronicles.
Gentlemen, welcome to Sasquatch Chronicles. No, there's nothing wrong with your speakers or your headphones or however you're listening today. I'm not Wes Germer. I've taken over the show today, and I'm going to do my best to entertain you as well as I know how. And who am I? Well, some of you might be familiar with my voice, but for those of you that aren't, my name is Brent Thomas, and I am from the Paranormal Portal, sitting in for Wes just to talk to you about Sasquatch a little bit today. So I hope you guys kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. While many of you may not be extraordinarily familiar with the Paranormal Portal, I cover all aspects of the paranormal, unknown, and Fortean topics, as much as I can anyway. And we do cover quite a bit about the Sasquatch phenomena on the shows. Hell yeah, we do. All right, folks, what's the reason I played that? Well, because on today's episode of Sasquatch Chronicles, I was the guest host, and it was a great experience. And special thanks to Wes for giving me that opportunity. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and for those of you that tuned in and listened, thank you so much. That was very nice. Yeah, it seemed like most everybody was really kind and gracious about it. And that's the tough part, because when you're sitting in for somebody, you're always like, oh, you know, they're probably expecting Wes. And then when they hear a different voice, you're gonna be like, what the hell's going on? What's this? It's kind of like the new Darren on Bewitched. It's like, oh, that's not Darren. That's not the guy. So anyway, it went really cool. I really had a good time. And again, thanks, Wes, for letting me do that. It was truly an honor. I really enjoyed it. So if you haven't heard it yet, check it out. It was a really cool experience. It was really one, I've told the story many times before, but before I started a show, before I ever had a paranormal portal, I was grinding away in a cubicle doing web updates and a little bit of customer service, all kinds of different things. And I had my earphones in, and that's what I would do, is just listen to Sasquatch Chronicles. That got me through the work life. And so it was really cool to be able to have an opportunity to be the voice of the show for once. And nobody can take Wes's place, but it was just a really cool experience. And I really had a lot of fun doing it. So if you haven't heard it, head over to Sasquatch Chronicles, of course, and have a listen after this show, not now. Don't do it now. because I need you. I need you right here. Don't go anywhere. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. That was kind of an unusual intro. Hi, Deb. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see all you. Kat Doherty, Rachel gets it right. Annie Manuel is here. That's really cool. Great to see you guys. Maggie is in here. John Stevenson, Wizard Moon. R. Stallbaum's here. SoCal Squatcher. Sorry, I couldn't spit that out for a second. Nathan Nate, great to see you. Thank you for coming in. Everybody, John Stevenson, Karen Alberding. Yeah, good to see you, Karen. That was me. I don't know. I thought that would be kind of fun to just play the intro and you guys be like, what the hell's he doing? That's what I did. So yesterday on the show, I said, hey, I'm working on some things. I don't want to announce them yet until they are live and then you can know about it. Well, that's what I was talking about. I had done an episode. Wes is still in recovery. He had a dental surgery going on. So he's like, I'm not talking. I'm not doing it. So I was like, yeah, I would love to do it. Thanks. And that's the episode I whipped up for him. If you want to have a listen, go ahead. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, it's not your normal Sasquatch Chronicles. Again, Wes is magic doing what he does, but it was really cool. I had a good time. So, who else didn't I say hello to yet? John Stevenson's in here. John Temperin, John Stevenson. Just scrolling up quick here in the YouTubes to see if I missed anybody. All right, looks like, yeah, everybody's like, hey, that's Sasquatch Chronicles. That was really fun. I'm just reading the comments now because I was just kind of hamming it up for the camera as that intro was playing, but it was so cool. There you go. Thank you, Lucky Gypsy, for keeping an eye on Twitch for us. Welcome anybody over on Twitch that's watching. Appreciate you being here, and if you like the show, follow it, please. And hello to Dog Digger and Gypsies over there. I'm sure Justin Goodbreak will be in soon. And Barbara Mora should be showing up, I'm sure. But this is the crowd we got so far. And thank you guys for being here and being a part of it. We got a lot to get through tonight. So what happened last night? I haven't addressed this yet. So I was sitting here getting to the good part on that story. I mean, the whole story was really good from Sasquatch Chronicles. Now, again, I've said this many times, but I need to re-say this. I don't pre-read these stories, so I'm going through them for the first time with you. So I was sitting there on with bated breath, seeing what happened next too, and all of a sudden, boom! All my screens went black. I have 3 LCD screens in front of me here, full of stuff going on. Production software, shows me the bandwidth streaming, the ghost radar, the chats, the actual streaming software. And then my window over here that shows the YouTube back end as well as where I put up articles, and everything went dead. Boom. Now, I still was connected with Sheldon on Zoom, but the actual streaming software was what went down. It was just like, boom, it was dead. And I'm like, oh my God. So that was pretty crazy. I didn't know what's going on, and I was dead in the water. Now, we only had 20 minutes left to go, so I was like, well, if I restart the computer and get everything running again, it would probably be 20 minutes or better before I would have the stream back up. And so we're almost at the end anyway. I figured I will recover that story tonight, and you guys can, hear what happened. I don't even know what happened. So, well, there's Don. How you doing, Don? Good to see you, brother. Popping in the chat. Good to see you, man. I hope everything's going well. We've missed you, brother. So anyway, that's what happened last night. I don't know what went wrong. I do know my computer is aging quick. My mouse was already acting up, which may somehow have been part of the problem. I did replace my mouse today, and that seems to be going better, and everything seems to be working. So cross your fingers. Hopefully everything rolls well. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that was it. And I'm sorry I didn't offer much of an explanation. I was just like, when that crashed last night, I was just like, okay, I'm done. It's been an incredibly long week, a good week. A lot of things have been going on. I've been working my ass off, honestly. Literally, I've been just flying, just trying to keep up, get things done that I have to do and do other projects as well. And so I was just frazzled last night. I was like, okay, I'm done. That's it. I just had nothing left to give. When the screens went down, I was just like, okay, that's it. That's it for tonight. And I just went out and laid on the couch. just laid there staring at the ceiling going, I need a vacation. So anyway, just to let you know, that's what happened. I do apologize for that. It was obviously things well beyond my control, but I probably should have gotten on to the Discord, social media, and said, hey guys, sorry, but I was just all out of gas at that point. So I had nothing left to give. And so just to offer you an explanation now, that's what happened. So I've got a lot of things to get through tonight. Obviously, once again, just to repeat, if you didn't hear, I did host Sasquatch Chronicles today. It's posted live, just talking about Bigfoot stuff, some of the weirdness that you've probably heard me say a lot of those things on the show many times before, but I just thought, well, this would be a way to introduce myself to some of the Sasquatch Chronicles audience that probably has no idea who we are here. So maybe we'll find some new followers, new people tuning in and showing up, but whatever. But between that, co-hosting on Hometown Ghost Stories, being on George Norrie, recording with Eric Mantel, and being on Bigfoot Michigan's Rob Show, and the normal shows and workload, this has just been a hell of a week. It's been a lot going on, and doing a guest hosting Sasquatch Chronicles all this week. So you can see, maybe, I mean, I'm not asking for pity. I'm absolutely thrilled with everything that's happened this week. I think it, helps to put the word out about the shows, but, just so you know. Anyway, of course, I'm going to get to the news coming up real soon here. Then we're going to get to the Discord question of the week. Special thanks to Chucky Danger once again for continuing to provide outstanding questions for that. And, to keep everything rolling. That's wonderful. And then we're going to get to the cryptids, I guess. And we'll of course, revisit that story. I'll start it all over. We'll start it from the top and work all the way through it, providing everything continues to work. I did look around to see today if anybody in town had a new or another graphics card, but I didn't find anything. There's nothing out there right now. Any attempt to get that is going to be me either finding it online and ordering it, or perhaps going to one of the bigger cities in the area here. But I couldn't find anything today. I tried. But anyway, always love me some Paranormal Portal. Thank you, Gypsy. That's very sweet. Brent's shaking hands and getting the portal word out. I'm trying. I really am. Of course, this has always been a labor of love for me, and I love doing it, but I'd like to see it grow. I'd like to see it become more than what it is. I'd like to be able to do more than I can now. And honestly, it's doing this stuff is always hills and valleys. And right now it's just one of those times where I gotta work overtime to make sure that people know who we are. So that's what's been going on. So I guess without further ado, we'll get to the news and find out just what's going on in the news-averse. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. I got 3 stories to cover tonight, and we'll see if I did a good job. It's Saturday, so it's always a little tougher to find news stories because I've kind of picked through a lot of them for the shows on the other 2 nights that we do these. So there's a few stories left, though, that I hope will be interesting. Let's find out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready to be informed because it's time for the news. The disco song. Everybody loves disco. It's timeless, Nate. Timeless. I've got gotta tell you guys now, I lived in the 70s. I was growing up in that period. And when you see pictures of the way we used to look, at the time we thought we looked pretty cool, but now looking back, it's like, oh my God, what were we thinking? What were we thinking? Those clothes look horrible. Oh, thank you, SoCal. I appreciate your belief, brother. Thank you. But you look back and even to see Friday Night Fever, that movie and how everybody dressed and how they danced and stuff. And it used to be so cool. It's like, wow, man, they're moving. Look at them go. And now you look at it, it's like, oh my God, you idiots. It's so funny. Like corduroys. I used to wear those things like crazy back in the 70s. And granted, I wasn't really picking my own wardrobe then, but that's what was bought for me. And I thought they were cool. Corduroys. And now you look at them, it's like, oh my God, those things were so hot and sweaty and uncomfortable. It's just the things we used to do. I'm so glad I wasn't alive in the 70s. Oh, Maggie, you miss so much, though. You miss disco. Come on, disco. I don't know. It's like everything else. I guess probably the coolest area that I've been alive for, I think, other than the current, I'm enjoying myself now, but I mean, the coolest era that I was alive for was in the 90s for me. I really enjoyed the whole 90s. I thought that was a great decade. The 80s were fine, but I was still just going through high school then and stuff. But the 90s were pretty cool. I was just, life was just beginning and I'd start, my adulthood journey pretty much in the 90s. I mean, I'd obviously turned 18 before the 90s, but I didn't really start growing up until about the 90s. I had a few years in there where I was plenty stupid. So, but in the 90s, I started growing up and started to shape a life. So anyway, not that that's important, not that that's paranormal, but it's just a little window into my soul in case you wanted a glance. There you go. Something was said in the chat here. What did I miss? Hi, Brent. Hi, y'all. Finally caught alive. Good to see you, Wendy. Thank you for coming in. I could picture a dog man doing disco. Somebody should do that AI, John. Somebody should do that. I had a paisley print hip hugger bell bottoms. And they were cool, weren't they, Karen? I mean, those kind of things. I remember thinking, like, bell bottoms were so cool looking. And now you look at them, it's like, oh, God. What the hell were we thinking? That and the decorations. You ever look at home decoration in the 70s? Oh my God. It was like we were absolutely colorblind. And we had no taste. And the taste we had was bad taste. I don't know. I don't know what the hell we were thinking. But anyway, I survived the 70s and I'm the man I am today because of them. What is this? The 80s were awesome, like a Chips episode every day. Oh, God, I remember being in band class and having to play the Chips thing. I was in the drums. And I got to do the rototoms. Dun, 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 dun. I still remember it. Like yesterday. Those fond memories. Travolta and his doggy. Yeah. There you go. Grew up in the 90s. Kind of why I love the NSYNC song. That NSYNC Deadpool song is awesome. That was a really good movie. I like that movie a lot. Took the Minion to it, I don't know, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. Anyway, we had a good time. I like that movie. That's the best movie I've seen in a long time. I've been really super disappointed with the cinema for a long time now. Just getting done, be like, oh God, I'll never get that time back. But I really like the new Deadpool Wolverine show. Anyway, to the news. Ladies and gentlemen, I've curated news stories for you, and hopefully you find them interesting and maybe learn something. And some of them might be paranormal. I don't remember. There's only 3 to pick from tonight. There was more, but they were absolutely not really relevant to what we do here on the show, so I skipped those. But again, one thing I can encourage you guys to do is throughout the course of the journey of the show, we utilize a lot of different sites, and I ask that you please support these sites. You please visit them, give them traffic. These guys are doing amazing work, and the least we can do is try to encourage you guys to go visit them, because it is expensive to host a website. And especially if you get reasonable amounts of traffic, you have to pay for bandwidth. I mean, that's an expensive proposal. And so your visits to these sites do equal revenue for the site owners and help to pay their bills. So please visit them. And the first site we're going to be utilizing is unexplained-mysteries.com, ladies and gentlemen. This is an amazing site, and I've been absolutely impressed with this site over and over and over. It's done so well, and it's so current and relevant and updated all the time. So check it out. The first story we're going to get into tonight here on the news comes from Ghosts and Hauntings segment of unexplained-mysteries.com. So we're off to a good start. And here's, for those of you that might be looking into the home market, looking for your new place to be. Well, there's a new house on the market. It's the house from the 1982 horror movie Poltergeist. It's now up for sale. There you go. You too could have a swimming pool full of corpses and caskets. Why not? I can't see any downside to that. All right, let's see what it says. The iconic house was used in the horror classic, has been occupied by its original owners since being built in 1979. Wonder what they got paid to have their house in the movie. Probably not much in 79, but still, it was probably good money back then. Directed by Tobe Hooper and written by Steven Spielberg, Poltergeist told the terrifying tale of a family who became besieged by a malicious haunting that culminated in their youngest daughter being pulled through a portal to the other side. Well, portals are good, right? Starring the late Heather O'Rourke, the film remains firmly entrenched in the minds of anyone who grew up watching it back in the 80s and is still considered a classic to this day. Now, for the first time since the movie was released, the house used in the exterior shots of the family's home is up for sale for anyone who happens to have deep enough pockets. Oh, there you go. There you go. Let's see how much they want for it. Situated in the Simi Valley, California, it is available for an eye-watering $1,174,999. Well, it's a song. It's a song. Look at that, dental implants. Seriously? Why do I have that ad? It was picked for use in the movie because it just looked like any normal suburban home. Stephen liked that house because it was at the end of the road, production designer Jim Spencer said back in 2015. And it was a 2-story valley-type mock two-door, and it just fit everything. The neighborhood was what we call Spielbergia, where E.T. and a couple of his other films were shot, and he always wanted to be in normal residential areas. Prospective buyers needn't be too alarmed by the house's paranormal reputation, however, as, according to the real estate company, it comes completely free of any resident spooks. Well, there you go. Oh, I remember that. That was creepy. Back in the day, that was really creepy. It looks kind of cheesy now, but yep, there you go. And it's Warner Brothers Entertainment clip of Poltergeist, but I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play that. We all know that show. But anyway, the house is for sale. So if you're looking for a home, you could be the proud owner of the Poltergeist house. At least the exterior. I don't know if the interior was modeled the same way, but still, it was a great movie. It really was. I actually was more freaked out by the second one. That old guy just was, oh God. The reason I think I was freaked out by the old guy in the second one so much is it reminded me of the Hat Man guy that kept haunting my dreams for several years during my teen years. I would see this guy and he'd always be chasing me and I couldn't get away. And it was horrible. And two of my kids have also had those dreams with this same weird looking guy with a hat, a very gray, pale guy, and wearing a hat, and they have the same dreams. I obviously think Sheldon O grew them just like I did during my teen years. Once my teen years wrapped up, I didn't have any more. Sheldon had them, and my middle son Oliver had at least one or more that he told me about. So pretty crazy stuff. I don't know what that is. I don't know what was going on. If there's something to do with family somehow, I have no idea. But anyway, true story. So that guy from the second one really reminded me of him, except for the guy in my dream wasn't quite as like gangly and skinny. He was much more robust and not like frail looking. The guy in the second movie was very frail looking, but this being that I encountered did not look frail at all. He was weirdly terrifying. That's all I'll say. Because it didn't matter what I did. I couldn't get away. I could, I mean, it was just horrible. God. Anyway, memories as they were. So that's the first story tonight. You might be the proud owner of the poltergeist house if you got deep enough pockets. I won't be shopping for that house, personally. My pockets are much shallower than that. So anyway, let's go to the second story from unexplained-mysteries.com. What is that? Well, it has to do with archaeology and history. I don't know if this is a good one or not, but I saw the headline. I was like, well, maybe that'll be good. So let's check it out now. Archaeology and history. Why not? We love that stuff, right? Digging up the past like an old girlfriend. Sorry. That was a little harsh. You can tell I'm a little jaded from past relationships. All right, let's dig into this. This is, again, from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is these three ancient Greek paradoxes are sure to melt your brain. I have no idea what it is. I haven't pre-read it, so let's find out together. Devised by Greek philosophers. Jesus, this is long. I don't know. I guess I can read the first part and put a link in the chats for you guys if you want to read the three of them. All right, so here it goes. Devised by Greek philosophers thousands of years ago, these paradoxes will leave you scratching your head. This is from Matthew Duncombe, I guess. And it says, ancient Greek philosophers used paradoxes for all sorts of reasons, from sharpening their dialectical skills and showing philosophical opponents who were talking nonsense to serious philosophical inquiry, but also just for fun. Some paradoxes were lethal. Philetus of Cos's epitaph tells us he died tormented by the liar paradox. And according to one biographer, Diodorus Cronus killed himself in 284 BC after failing to solve a paradox put to him by fellow philosopher Stilpo of Megara. These stories are fanciful, but they point to something maddeningly true about paradoxes. There cannot be a single obvious solution. Sometimes there is no good solution. Sometimes there are too many good solutions. Paradoxes point to conceptual glitches or bugs. How to fix these bugs, or whether they can be fixed, is rarely obvious. The three paradoxes are listed in the rest of this article. Now, I'm not going to melt your brains tonight with this. I'd rather melt your brains with the question of the week or some cryptid corner, but I'm going to put these in the chat, this link, and you guys can check for yourselves and see if indeed these are mind-melting paradoxes. I can't be held responsible if you do choose to pursue one of these paradoxes and drive yourself absolutely mental. It's not my fault. I'm just putting it out there for discussion's sake. So, there you go. All right. There's the paradoxes. If you want to look into them, the links are in the chat. My brain's melted a long time ago, Brent, Karen says. Well, you're in the right place because I'm working with about 3 functioning gray matter cells right now myself. So you're in good company. All right, let's go to the last one. I'm going to close this one, if you don't mind, and we'll see what the hell's up with the last one. I don't remember what this one was. Oh, yeah, this one. This one does look kind of neat. Oftentimes, this is from Archaeology and History of unexplained-mysteries.com. You know, a lot of times they find things that we just don't know how to read anymore because they're written in dead languages. And so it takes a long time, if it's possible to solve it at all. And here's one that apparently has been a mystery for quite a while. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Mystery behind 4,000-year-old tablets of doom has been solved. Well, there you go. It's been solved. No need to rack your brain anymore. Look at that. This is it. This is everything, I think. Unless there's more than one piece. But, I mean, what could they write on there that would be so huge? It looks, I mean, I don't know. How does anybody even look at that and go, I bet you that's words? Because it doesn't look like words. It looks like some kid with a stick poking over and over in lines into a piece of clay. But let's see what it says. Okay, good. It's not too long. Archaeologists have successfully deciphered doom prophecies written on ancient Babylonian cuneiform tablets. Well, that's interesting. I thought they had cuneiform all figured out by now. But maybe it wasn't interpreting what was said. It was maybe interpreting what it was talking about. So let's see what it says. The tablets, which had remained a mystery since their discovery 100 years ago, date back to around 1200 BC and originate from the Babylonian city of Sippar in what is now modern-day Iraq. It wasn't until researchers were able to use artificial intelligence to decipher the text on the tablets that a proper translation could finally be obtained. As it turns out, the tablets contain portents of doom based on celestial observations and are the oldest known records of lunar eclipse omens concerning the fate of ancient Mesopotamia. If an eclipse becomes obscured from its center all at once and clear all at once, a king will die. Destruction of Elam, one of the predictions reads. An eclipse in the evening watch signifies pestilence. If an eclipse is the wrong way around, nothing will be spared. The deluge will occur everywhere. What's interesting is how the people of the time interpreted celestial events, such as lunar eclipses, quite negatively, associating them with the coming of major disasters. Babylonian astrology was an academic branch of divination founded on the belief that events in the sky were coded signs placed there by the gods as warnings about the future prospects of those on Earth, the study authors wrote. Astrological observation was part of an elaborate method of protecting the king and regulating his behavior in conformity with the wishes of the gods. So I don't know. I guess it's just a whole bunch of kind of an eclipse guidebook or whatever is what it sounds like. Well, if the eclipse looks like this, you're probably going to burn your toast. I don't know. I don't know what the hell it means. I'm not big into prophecy for the most part. Obviously I'm not young, but I've been around long enough to have heard many claims of prophetic vision and stuff that were supposed to occur during my lifetime. And, I'm glad they didn't occur, but they didn't occur. And so it's like, yeah, anybody can make claims. And how do you verify that? Well, you wait and see. So, and it's also the stuff of cults everywhere. It's like, oh, well, Hell Bop is here. That's, we got to ride home on that. So, everybody, drink this Kool-Aid, or whatever, Jim Jones, Heaven's Gate, all that stuff. All of these prophets were telling people what was going to happen. And unfortunately, several people believed them enough that they were willing to surrender their entire lives to it. And that to me is terrifying. So I don't know. Prophecy to me is, I don't know. It's just sketchy. Just sketchy. All I can say is it's sketchy. I don't really buy into it personally. I think the future is always in motion. Every bit of our lives changes future events. Every decision. I mean, even if you decide to have milk or a soft drink, that could have ramifications that mold your future. Maybe it's health-wise, whatever. But anyway, the point is that everything's fluid. Everything is in motion. It's not like everything is these fixed angles. And there's just a fixed pattern for everything. So that's my take on it. I don't know. And I don't mean to, again, convince anybody of anything. I'm just sharing my own viewpoints. But I think prophecy is a pretty muddy, unclear thing. And anybody that claims that they have a crystal pristine prophetic vision, I'm probably betting that you don't. Not that there haven't been some amazing prophecies and prophets through the ages, but not for quite a while as far as I can see. There's a lot of claims, but not a lot of merit to those claims in my eyes. So we'll wait and see, like everything else. But that has been the news, folks. I hope you found some of that interesting. Maybe had some good takeaways, maybe not. I don't know. It's up to you. But that's what I grabbed for you because that was pretty much all that's left. Because it's Saturday. There's not a lot of news over the weekends on these sites, but there's a bunch during the week. So we'll have a fresh batch for you on Wednesday when I come back then. So until then, let's get back to the rest of the show. News. Thank you, Maggie. Glad you enjoyed it. Leroy. Let's see who Leroy is. Is that a new name, Leroy? Is Leroy a new name, or is it someone we already know? It could be. Oh, there's just Leroy Bop Dog. It says Bop Dog. How you doing, Leroy? Thanks for coming in tonight, checking out the show. Hopefully you enjoy it and make it a new home for yourself. You're welcome to hang out with us whenever you want. Whenever we're live anyway, and we do these live shows if you're new and you're just checking it out. We do live shows usually every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So I can't say that's always the case if I'm going to conferences or there's other events or investigations or any number of personal life things that may keep me from doing shows from time to time. But generally speaking, we're usually pretty consistent here. So hopefully you like it. Hopefully you like it. Bad Leroy Brown. There you go, Karen. My middle name, Leroy or Brown? Which one? Anyway, I like that song too. Brings back a lot of memories. Okay, we are cruising through the night here on the portal, and we just got done with the news. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It was okay. Yeah. I mean, three stories, but hopefully they were interesting 3 stories. All right, now we're going to move to a segment that I've been extraordinarily fond of here on the show, and it's one we've been doing for quite a while now. And I mean, thank God for Chucky is all I can say, because it was getting tough for me to keep coming up with new ones. It's like, what do I ask next? What do I ask? And then I would forget things that I already asked and then ask something really similar. So it was like, oh, I'm kind of screwing this up. But Chucky stepped in, and he's been doing it ever since and doing a hell of a job. So I did host Sasquatch Chronicles. Yeah, that was me. Just for today, of course. I'm not taking over the show because, Wes is going to be back. But he took the weekend off, and by God, I took the chance. Hope you enjoyed it, Leroy, if you listened. I did host it, though. That was it was actually posted live today, the episode. Of course, it's all pre-recorded, but yeah, that was fun. I had a good time doing it. I missed it this week. It's been a doctor appointment week this week. No worries. No worries. There's probably still time, Karen, if you want to jump over there and see if you can add an answer of your own. There's Sasquatch in my area, Jamie says. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Or is it Jaime? I don't know if that Jaime or Jamie. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm screwing up your name. But welcome to the show, too. The thing with Sasquatch is there's only one state in the U.S. that has no claims of Sasquatch activity, and that's Hawaii. Everywhere else, there are some claims, at least some. And it's surprising how diversified and how prevalent they are all across North America. And it's not just the U.S. and the world, for that matter. I mean, this is really and truly a global phenomenon. It's not just a regional thing or what. Congratulations, Brent. What a great opportunity. Oh, thank you, SoCal. I appreciate that. So, yeah, is that Jaime? Again, you'll have to let me know how I'm doing on your name here. I'm not very worldly. I'm from Minnesota. Not that that's bad, but I just don't have a lot of world experience with different names. Yes, Jay and the Shawnee, Jamie. Oh, Jamie. Okay, and the Shawnee National Forest. Okay, Jamie. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I got that right. Sorry about that. I'm just doing my best, and sometimes that's not really impressive, but it's my best. So, what more can you ask? But nice to meet you, Jamie. Thanks for coming in. All right, no Bigfoots, but Hawaii has a claim of the supernatural. Well, they got Menehune, and they have plenty of other, lots of hauntings and spiritual activity. Again, it's on the Pacific Ring of Fire, so the natural energy in Hawaii is just off the charts. I mean, it really is. I've been there, and I don't want to say that I'm psychic by any measure, but I do find that I'm really tuned into natural areas, and some areas more than others. But when I was in Hawaii, it was just like, I felt like I was a bright light bulb because I love that energy, that vibrant life that's all around there. So yeah, the Pacific Ring of Fire is, all of it is got a lot of spiritual activity for sure. Supernatural activity, I should say. But yeah, Hawaii is magical. You're right. There's plenty of paranormal in Hawaii. Yes, there is. Quite a bit. Yeah, the Menehune are the little people. Yep. That's what I'd mentioned. Yeah. They are pretty spectacular claims about the Menehune. They were a very industrious race, they are. Either they were or are. If they're still around, there's still claims of them coming in from time to time. But they were very well regarded and very cautiously regarded in the Native Hawaiian Polynesian cultures. Like, you didn't mess with the Menehune, and they were incredibly industrious. They were apparently worked in concert with several of the former kings of Hawaii and helping to construct things. They were incredibly industrious. So yeah, very cool stuff. Wizard says, I lived in Hawaii for 8 years. Why would you leave? If I lived in Hawaii, I would stay there until I was taking a dirt nap, I think. I don't think I would ever leave. I might go visit other places, but I would just stay. That to me was perfect weather all year round. That was my ideal place because it was always nice. It was just brilliant there when I was there. And this is in the middle of February when I went there. And I loved Hawaii. It's a wonderful place. So anyway, let's us continue. Oh, Audio's in here. How you doing, Audio? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. We are going to get to the Discord question of the week. I'm going to put the links in the chats. It is https://discord.gg/paranormal portal. And then I'm going to copy that and put it in both chats because that's how you join. If you are a Discord user and you're not already a member, then please become a member of our Discord. We'd love to see you over there. There's a great community. If you like the chat here, you're going to love the Discord. It's a lot of the same people over there chatting all the time. And I'll give you a little mini tour of the Discord. But first, what am I doing? I'm trying to move my mouse to my little action buttons here. It's not time for the cryptids yet. That's from last night when everything crashed. But it's time for this. What do you hear in my voice? I hear that in Brent's voice, Rachel. What is my voice doing? I don't know what you're saying. What is my voice doing? Is something wrong? No, you've got me concerned. What are you hearing in my voice? I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm still looking. Let me know, Maggie, what's going on with my voice. There I answered. Not sure if I made any sense, but cause I answered in a hurry, but it made sense to me. Well, I'm sure it'll make sense. And you'll be here to clarify. You'll be here. Brent, that's, you're saying I got better. Oh, but got better. Yeah, exactly. Monty Python. That was great. She turned me into a newt. Well, I got better. One of the classic lines. Yeah. And the Sean Connery is good too. It is. All right. You guys talking about my impressions? How about I do the show just as me? You guys crack me up. All right. So this is the Discord, and this is the question of the week, of course. But when you join, you'll be in the general here, and we'll all get a real nice message here from the Discord server saying, hey, so-and-so's joined. And you'll be greeted by all the people that happen to be online at the time of your joining. But Discord is kind of unusual for a lot of people when you first use it. But once you learn how to use it, it's really like pretty easy. And all you have to do is these are the different chat threads that you can become involved in. If they're white like this, that means there's things I haven't seen in there. And so I need to click on it like cryptids. There's a lot of things I haven't seen. You'll see the red line here. These are all new posts from the last time I was in here. Somebody shared Cliff and Bobo. What the hell? No, I'm just kidding. Cliff and Bobo show is wonderful. And so you can just use your mouse wheel and scroll through the chat and see what people are talking about, and then click on the next one. There's lots of different threads here. There is Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts, UFO, extraterrestrial encounters, cryptids, music, strange phenomena, the paranormal library. People recommend their books that they've read about the paranormal. There's movies dealing with the paranormal that are here. There is art that people have made or have found where they post. These are Rachel's mushroom zombies. Those are awesome. They're creepy, though. They're creepy as hell. So there's different things here. And then there's paranormal humor. And then there's the paranormal kitchen. And I posted the first recipe in the paranormal kitchen. This is cat poop fudge. This cracks me up still. Every time I see it, it cracks me up. Those are actually fudge pieces, and these are Rice Krispies, but the idea is it looks like a litter pan. That's just disgusting. I would love to go to a potluck party and bring this and set it on the table. Oh my God, I'm a twisted soul. What can I say? That looks disgusting, but it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So there's a lot of recipes some people have posted. Spooky food to serve at your Halloween party is a thread that Annie Minogue put up. So edible amputated hand, charcuterie. Nice. You know, I only learned what charcuterie meant a year ago. Swear to God, I'd never heard that term before. And I learned when I went out to my cousin's daughter's wedding, and they had he told me about charcuterie, and I'm like, what the hell's that? So I learned about charcuterie last year. I'm always trying to learn, but God, there's some things I think I should have probably known. That was one of them. But now I know, so I'm better. But anyway, we're going to get back up to the question of the week, because that's up here. And this is, again, Chucky Danger provides a question every week that you guys can respond to and reread live on the Saturday shows. So we're going to do that now. This week's question from the Discord question of the week. Thanks again, Chucky. You're awesome. I don't think he's in here right now, but I just say it anyway, because maybe he'll watch the replay. Question of the week. There are many claims of cursed objects and haunted objects. Do you think there is validity to these stories? Can an object become cursed or haunted? Great question. What do you guys think? So, I mean, cursed objects have been around since civilization. The old, cursed dolls, cursed anythings can have a curse on it. Like somebody can give you something nice, and then you get it home, and all of a sudden things are just going to hell. It's like, what's going on? Well, maybe they cursed that and gave it to you. Maybe it was bought with the best of intentions, but it already had a curse on it. Anyway, yeah, I do believe there's merit to that. So the first one to weigh in is Eric the Wandering Purple Hobbit, and he said, I'm sure they can be. I mean, look at Don's beard. That's got to get itchy in this heat. Well, there's that. I mean, I don't know. I don't have enough hair on my face to really know, but I imagine it could get itchy. Good point. I don't know if that's necessarily a curse, though, as much as just the wrong weather for a lot of facial hair. But Don wears it well, so. Here it is, ZX81V2 comes next. It says, I live by a simple rule. If it has eyes and don't breathe, cleanse it with fire. That's pretty cut and dried. An object seems to have an empty space for the spirit to hide inside, and this is why all dolls must be burnt. Well, that's a solution, I guess. Oh, Jake Fortes came in and said, I couldn't agree more. Those Cabbage Patch Kids scared the heck out of me. I don't know. I thought the Cabbage Patch Kids were cute. I mean, I was around when they came out. I thought they were kind of adorable. So I don't know. I mean, not that I was playing with dolls, but, I just thought they were pretty cute looking. But anyway, a lot of other people did too, because there was a huge Cabbage Patch Kid craze. I wish I invented them. Oof. Next up comes Annie Manuel, and she says, yes, I once saw a particle physics thing called cloud chamber get regularly hated on so the results wouldn't work. I said to my friend that from what you've told me, the intent and energy of the observer influences how matter falls out into reality. Yes, she said, so I recommended that she stick a lucky charm on where her hater couldn't see it and say a prayer over her cloud chamber, and it worked. The cloud chamber was no longer cursed after 2 years of failure. Then she told everyone else in the lab about the lucky charm. They all borrowed it, and their experiments worked better with positive intent and intention than negative. So yes, matter can retain positive or negative intent and effects. That's a great, great story. There was an experiment that was done, I believe, by a Japanese series of scientists, and they took water and froze it and did different emotional experiments. Some little bits of water, they would just imbue it with anger and horrible feelings, some with love, some with, different emotions. And it was crazy because the crystallization of this water reflected that emotional charge so perfectly. And it does really stand to reason then that we do affect the world around us with our emotional states. And certainly that could be in the form of wishing ill on somebody. That, would be essentially a curse, that, whoever holds this, I hope they, have this happen to them over and over. And a lot of times it's surprisingly effective. Now, I don't know if it's partially because the person has a knowledge of it, or if it is indeed the idea that energy follows intention and just affects things without, there needing to be a direct line of influence. So it is, I really believe in this stuff very much so. And of course, from the double slit experiment, we know that people observing things changes the nature of what's being observed. Whether the photons were particle or wave. And when nobody was watching, they were kind of both at the same time. But when people were watching, it suddenly became a particle and behaved as a particle. So that to me is so incredibly profound and shows the influence that we have even subconsciously on the world that we live in. So I think there's very good merit for that and great point. Neil S. comes in and says, I don't think that we can comprehend spiritual energy and its many facets, many facets. That's why I think it's possible for spiritual energy to attach to objects and instill them with energy, both positive and negative. When a great tragedy occurs, I think that the energy remains and can attach itself to objects. I went to one of the Titanic exhibitions, and I remember seeing pieces of coal from the ship for sale in the gift shop, and I was horrified. My first thought was that I didn't want something connected with such a human tragedy in my house. It just felt weird, too. Some years later, I was watching some paranormal show, and the woman was recounting how she bought a piece of coal from the Titanic exhibit and had lots of weird things start happening in her home that she felt were linked to the tragedy. I do think that positive energy can also be attached. And I've bought many antique objects from my home, and sometimes I think they have brought a positive feeling to my personal space. As humans, when dealing with spirit or spiritual energy, we often tend to dwell on the negative, but from my own personal experience, it's mostly positive. There is negative energy out there, but I truly believe the vast majority of it is positive. And again, the other part of it is that if something does have a negative attachment or energy, it is possible to cleanse those things. Like you can work doing certain practices, again, it should pertain to your faith, but we can cleanse objects. We can take that charge off and remove it. We just have, I mean, that's part of our purview, I think, as being souls and conscious energy ourselves, that we can remove that or erase it. It's like a bad scribble on a crayon, on a coloring book. It's like if you get a coloring book page, well, maybe if you work with an eraser, you can clean up all the mess and redo it and make it beautiful. So, that's maybe a bad example, but you get what I'm saying. You don't just have to accept that, well, this is cursed, throw it away. It can be cleansed. Again, if you ever bring something into your house and you find that something seems to be happening that correlates to that timing, remove that item from your house, put it in a garage or have it somewhere off of your property and see if that changes the energy. And if it does, then before you bring it back in, spend a lot of time learning how to cleanse and make sure to do those practices to remove those negative energies. Don't introduce them to your home. So certainly one thing that you can do. John T comes up next and says, sure, why not? They say Robert the Doll, I think that's its name, is spooked. As for me, never had the experience, nor do I want to. Yeah, there is a lot of claims with Robert the Doll. A lot of times it has to do with people taking his picture without asking permission. So apparently there's a thing that you have to ask Robert the Doll his permission before taking his photo and before doing like selfies, that kind of stuff. And there's lots of people that swear by the fact that after they did that, things in their life went to hell. And so they write apology letters to the doll owner, and they are presented, I guess, to Robert, and hopefully he forgives them, and that bad luck ceases. So another thing is sometimes when people are in sacred or spaces that have a significant history, usually tragic, that picking up stones and bringing them home from there can bring that energy to your home. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's the truth, but I know that that's a belief that some people have. So again, you got to work within your paradigm. And if you think that something you brought in possibly has that, then definitely give it a shot to clean it, to cleanse it. Omar, who's Omar? Is that a new name? Omar Corona. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad to see you back. That's wonderful. All right, so Robert the Doll is creepy. You're right, Wizard Moon. I tend to think positive thoughts, so that's where my mind generally goes. Yeah, I think that's a good start, Karen, for sure. Let's go to Rachel 101's response. She said, yes, I think objects can be cursed or haunted. I don't know how, though, whether it's an attachment or something physically inhabiting the object. Is it an intelligent curse, one that attacks the specific person who for some reason triggers it, or a mindless negative force that causes harm? We talk about intelligent hauntings, but what about an intelligent curse? So there is a practice in occultism, and it is to generate something called a servitor, Servitor. And a servitor is essentially kind of like a tulpa, kind of like an egregore, but egregores are made by groups of people, or, it could be a religious group, or, and I'm using the term religious kind of loosely here, not meaning a good religious group, but they sometimes work on creating these consciousnesses. Those are egregores. But a servitor is a belief that is in a lot of esoteric magical practices, where it is essentially a conscious spell. So you're creating a consciousness and giving it a task. And it could be aimed specifically at someone, or it could just be aimed at anyone. And as long as that continues to exist, it will allegedly continue to do what it was tasked to do. But it is an independent consciousness. So it's like a conscious spell is the best way to try to summarize that. And it's a creepy idea. It's a creepy idea that you might be able to create a conscious spell. So again, as with anything though, these things can be negated. They can be, for lack of a better term, deprogrammed. Don't ever think that, well, somebody's sick. I'm pretty sure somebody sent the servitor, for me. Well, then there are ways to protect yourself. There are ways to cleanse both items and your environment to keep those things out. There's, any number of protections that you can implement depending on your faith again. But faith is strong. Faith is incredible. To have faith in something is so powerful, and it really, really can change the entire game. So when you hear things like this, don't think, oh God, I just got to stay away from this stuff. It's crazy. Because if someone's out there doing nefarious stuff, they're just going to do nefarious stuff. And certainly we hope that we don't become the target of those things, but it's very possible. And you have to know how to protect yourself. And it can be, just calling in prayer upon the divine or God or the, angels, whatever, to come and hold vigil over you and to protect you from the snares of evil. And so those things are very, very powerful. So don't feel like if that is the case, that's, there's nothing you can do. So that's what a servitor is. I don't know if that answers your question, Rachel, but I think that's pretty interesting. All right. Barbara Mora comes in next and says, I think I have a different view on haunted objects. I've only felt vibrations off of things. Whether people pass on and have held an item of theirs, I still feel their earthly vibration on the item. Sure. Yeah, we imprint on everything around us. Our homes are, like this studio is so imprinted with me. This studio has Brent all over it. It's crazy. Because I spend so much time in here. And all of my emotions play out in this space, let me tell you. And as I'm doing that, of course, my energy is not just contained in my meat suit. It's radiating into the environment around me. But I do always try to stay positive and be happy and push good things out into the world. I don't focus on negativity too much. I mean, I'm human. Of course, I have my moments, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm sure many of us do. Eventually, that vibration dissipates. Fair enough, sure. Even if I find an object that looks like it had been lost, and if I decide to keep that item, I have to wait until the original owner's vibe is gone. Otherwise, it just feels wrong and uncomfortable. That's a good point. Example, a ring or sunglasses. Then again, sometimes I think I'm reading into an item with my own thoughts and feelings at the time. I simply don't know, but I respect the process that I tend to go through, that I need to go through, rather. Yeah. Trust your gut. Trust your intuition on this stuff for sure. SoCal Squatcher comes in next, says, sure, I believe spirits can have attachments to objects, just like buildings or houses. Perfect. Yep, I agree. All right, Puck comes in next and says, for sure, items can be haunted. Not sure about cursed. I knew of a rocking chair that was found in an open field, and it was out there rocking away, and the family brought it home, and it continued to rock inside the house. That's really creepy. They put it in the attic, and it kept rocking. They put it out on the curb, and it showed back up in the attic. I guess it liked the attic. Yikes. I visited the house when in the basement, I was touched on the shoulder. Turning around, there was absolutely nobody there. The family said it came with the chair. Yeah, again, if that's the case, if it's negative, I mean, if it's just a chair that rocks and it doesn't bother you, whatever. That's nothing harmful. But if it turns out to be a negative thing and bad things start happening, you got to cleanse that out. You got to kick it out. That's not good for anybody. Last up comes Karen Alberding. She did get in there. You made it under the wire, Karen. Nice job. Yes, I do believe that it's possible, and there is validity to this. If a person has a strong attachment to something, a piece of them spiritually can remain with the object. And I don't think if it's an evil sort of way, though. I think it has more in a loving sort of way, or maybe a guardian sort of way, of whomever possesses the object is being watched over by that spirit or something. Sure. I mean, that's certainly the case. I think that can be the case in heirlooms, like heirloom necklaces or some piece of jewelry that's been passed down can have those vibrations and perhaps if it stays in the family line, it could be very well sort of a talisman of sorts. Just because, it was attached to them and now it's attached to you, and perhaps that does create kind of a guardian situation. So that's certainly plausible. Interesting stuff, but that's going to wrap up the question of the week. Thank you to everybody that took the time to weigh in on this. And special thanks to Chucky Danger, who is now here. God bless you, Chucky. We were wondering where you were. I'm just saying, you're a little tardy. No, I'm just kidding. Good to see you, brother. And Chucky, you did a great job. This is a good question. And I really appreciate all of you guys taking the time to answer that did. And again, the invitation's open to the Discord. If you didn't see it in the link in the chat, then check the show description, because the Discord link is in there as well. You can join whenever you want. We just love meeting new people and welcoming new people into our folds. I don't know if that sounds good or not. Sounds kind of twisted now that I think about it. Welcome you into the family. I think that's a little more appropriate. So anyway, this has been the Discord question of the week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And let's get back to the rest of the show. There you go. Discord question of the week. Awesome. Yeah, I know, Maggie. It's like sometimes I say things and I'm like, ooh, shouldn't have said it like that. I mean, it's a common phrase. Welcome you into the fold. But now that I'm thinking of it, it's like, yeah, that sounds kind of gross. Folds of what? I don't know. Thrift stores make me so tired. That's where I get really tired when I go there, and it just sucks the life out of me. And that is, and it's not an intentional thing, but it's nursing homes. If I go into nursing homes, I am absolutely drained in no time. I'm not sure why. If it's, I don't think it's those people doing anything. I think it's just the fact that these people, and maybe it's an empathic thing. Like you feel the years on those people, and you feel that some of them are very close to the last moments of their life. And maybe that's an exhausting thing. I don't know. But I know that if I go to nursing homes, I'm just like, oh, I got to get out of here. So to my children, if I ever get old, do not put me in a nursing home. Put me in the basement, put me in a closet. I don't care, but not a nursing home. That's not where I want to finish this journey. Yep. Great answers tonight. Thank you guys so much. So anyway, that was the Discord question of the week. Again, love to see more of you guys join in there if you don't mind. So what's going on? Have I missed anything? Justin Goodearth came in. Good to see you, brother. Finally made it, he says. Yeah, you finally made it. Good to see you. And Barbara and Dog Digger are over there as well. So good to see you guys. And I'm going to do some shout outs here on YouTube for the YouTubers that are here. Let me see where the hell. Oops. What did I do wrong? What did I do? There it is. All right. I'm going to do some YouTube shout outs. So if you want to shout out, say something in the chat. And that will populate the list. And let me know so I can thank you guys for being here. Those of you that are here and chatting. Not too many right now. I mean, there's of course several of you here watching the show, but so far we got Annie Manuel, Audio, Aussie Tiger, Barbara Mora, Chucky Danger, Deb Varner, John Stevenson, John Temperin, Justin Goodearth, Karen Alberding, Maggie M10, RJ Windwalker, Rachel Gets It Right, SoCal Squatcher, and Wizard Moon, and I'm in there. So good to see you guys. No nursing home. Yeah, absolutely, John. Just put me on a shelf somewhere. I'll be fine. It's no offense to those people that work in nursing homes. I know that they're doing wonderful, and God bless them. I mean, it's got to be a tough career, but they do it because they want to help and make a difference and make people's end of life nice and pleasant. And most often they're wonderful, but sometimes you go to a nursing home and you feel like, oh, this is not a happy place. And then you hear the horror stories too, but it's not that. It's just that energy. I just feel exhausted. I feel like I got to get out. Like, oof, I can't stay here for long. So back in the day when I was going through massage therapy school. I'm a certified massage therapist from way back. I went through training and out in Michigan with my cousin. And I loved the school because I learned a lot. There was a lot of esoteric parts of it dealing with body energy, meridians, better health, learning about trigger points, kinesiology, physiology, all of that stuff. It was an amazing experience. And honestly, I was young. I was 18. So I always say I never felt better in my life, but I was 18. So who doesn't feel like they're at the top of their game at 18? But it was pretty nice life getting a full body massage every day. It's like, yeah, I want to go to school. But part of that was we had to go and work at nursing homes and helping those people that were kind of bedridden, giving them a little massage and stuff. And I'm here to tell you that was the most miserable part of my going to school, and not, again, not for lack of caring or for, no complaints to the actual people that I interacted with, but it was just the energy there was just so hard for me. So that's a personal story. I don't know. Is it relevant? Maybe, maybe not. You can use burned sage through the house. Yeah, sage is a good. You're right, Deb. That's a good way to reset the energy of your house, and it just kind of knocks down. And I'm not trying to recommend people do things, but I know that I really do believe in every once in a while walking through the house and burning sage bundles, because I do feel like the energy lightens up a lot more. Because as we discussed in this last segment, I think we do imprint on our spaces. If you're going through a tough time, and maybe the relationship with your significant other isn't so great and you guys are just chomping at each other, sometimes just trying to reset that energy can be really huge in helping to, lower the intensity. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents for whatever that's worth. I wanted to work in hospice before my stroke. Wow. I mean, that's very noble. I think it's amazing. And there is, it takes a special person to do that kind of work. It really does. It says a lot about your compassion, Maggie, that you wanted to work in hospice. You are truly a very bright light. So I couldn't do it. It's just, I'd be kind of, there's two parts of me. Like, one part would be kind of interesting just to see if, sometimes people that are passing, those people around them see things or experience things, but, I guess it's my own personal curiosities rather than being there for the right reasons to make that passings, as good as you can, because those poor people are, going through hell a lot of times. I do Dragon's Blood. Dragon's Blood is good. Nag Champa is good. Different modalities. Burning cedar is good. Not a big branch. You don't want to go through your house with a big torch, but just take some cedar and put it in a dish or a shell and light that and go through and let that smoke cleanse. There's lots of things. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not trying to recommend what people do or don't do. Whatever you do, just make sure you believe in it. That's the big takeaway. All right. Yeah, Palo Santo is good for cleansing. That's for, and I suppose it resets the energy as well. But that's like, it's like pulling out a tank for, pulling out Nag Champa is like pulling out a tank for a mosquito. That's some pretty potent stuff. Anyway, some kind of new smoke. There you go. All right, let's get to the cryptids. I promised you we'd go back and revisit the cryptid stories, and by God, we should do that. And I'm going to reread the one from Sasquatch Chronicles that I started yesterday, because we ended up having some serious technical glitches yesterday. You need to be empathetic and to be able to put yourself somewhere in their shoes. And how would you want to be treated if you can't do that and be kind to them? You don't belong in that job. Yeah, exactly. I think that's very true. Brent is cryptid. I don't know if I'm a cryptid. I think I'm a very unusual person, but I hope in a good way. I hope so anyway. All right, let's get to the cryptids, folks, because we got to do that. Are you guys ready for some Bigfoot and other creature stories? Well, I am. And so that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to go to the cryptids. Not the Discord question of the week. Whoops. Man, it's rookie night here on the portal. Audio says Brentfoot. I am Brentfoot. Stupid Brentfoot says. There you go. Let's go into the cryptids, folks, because we got some stories to get through. Oh my God, I never even opened it. Let me go back to this. I forgot to open that browser. I had to restart everything. I've been working on this computer a large part of the day. But let's do this. Let me pull it up. Let me open up the browser. I just think of how stupid things sound after I say them. It's like, that didn't sound good. That did not sound good. I'm like Hagrid over here. I should not have said that. I should not have said that. I'm sorry. I am a full-time idiot with a microphone, so you glean all the benefits of that. God, this is not really that big, is it? That didn't sound good either. God bless it. I just got it. I'm in stupid mode here. Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to get this over to the other page. So I think that'll do it, maybe. Nope, not quite. God damn it. Sorry. I hate doing that, but I get so sick of the way this freaking browser works. It drives me crazy. Let me do this. See if I can. Unfortunately, they don't give you much to click on. Son of a bitch. I'm really sitting here trying to drag a window over to another screen. There we go. I finally got enough. I can't believe how challenging that was. That was like stupid. Anyway, it's time for the cryptid corner. Jeez. No, it's not tech issues. It's user issues. Essentially, when you look at a browser, I'll show you what I was wrestling with here. Hold on. When you look at a browser, let me get to the story. Which one was it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. This is the story we're going to reread because we had only got part of it. But if you look at the top of the browser, son of a, really? God. Hold on. I'm just having a hell of a night here for some reason. Maybe I'd better cleanse. Okay, so look at the browser. There should be like more of a gap here that you can click and grab onto. But if I try to click, it clicks on the tabs and not giving me the opportunity to drag it. So I got to go all the way over here and try to get this little corner between the plus sign and this down menu and drag that around. So I was wrestling with that. So I don't know. Just broadcasting issues. What do you do? All right, so we're going to start out from Sasquatch Chronicles blog here, ladies and gentlemen, as we dive into the cryptids. And again, this is a story I started reading last night. It was just getting good. And then everything hit the fan. Everything went to hell. So we're going to try it again tonight. Cross your fingers. Hopefully it goes well. It was a hell of a story. Really well written. This is from August 15th, 1986, Ohio encounter. All right, this is a long story, and I was almost getting to about the 2/3 of the way when everything crashed. So I'm going to reread it all because some of you may not have been here last night. Let's get into it. A listener writes, I live in Bellevue, Washington, and I was born and raised in Connecticut, Ohio, where I live, Conneaut, Ohio. Sorry, I'm not paying attention here. Where I lived with my family until the age of 19. I lived in the country 6 miles south of Lake Erie and approximately 4 miles west of the Pennsylvania state line. My best friend since grade school lived 2 miles due east from my house. I'd visit him on a frequent basis, during the summers and after school during the week. Weekends and pretty much any time that I was free. I've traveled this 2 mile span of dirt road hundreds of times, in all weather and all times of the day and night. I would often walk there, but mostly I'd just ride my bike. In the fall of 1986, age 14, I'd spent most of the day at my friend's house, and it was getting late. It was about time to head home. Well, it was probably around 11 p.m. or midnight. Well, I grabbed my jacket and headed out the door. The weather this night was in the mid to upper 50s, and it was extremely misty and very foggy, and for this reason, I decided I couldn't see to ride and would walk the distance with my bike at my side. Well, I was no stranger to being out after dark in the area that I lived. I'd been camping and hiking dozens of times in the area and knew the surrounding woods extremely well. I had no fear of the dark, no fear of any animals other than the occasional surprise dog that would take chase as I rode by on my bike. I knew what animals lived in Northeast Ohio and that there were no predators that I needed to fear. Well, I've read that there are black bear in Ohio, but I've never heard of anyone seeing one in my area, in the Northeast area, all of my 19 years that I lived there. Sorry, my eye's burning. It said, I started off from my friend's house, walking south on Furnace Road, crested the hill from my friend's house, and turned right onto South Ridge Road, heading west. This dirt road runs parallel approximately a quarter mile from the Conneaut Creek and is separated by two large farm fields, one to the north and one to the south. The borders of these farm fields are lined with thick woods. Sorry, gotta rub my eye. I transitioned off the paved road onto the dirt road, walking down the smooth center of the road. I stayed in the center of the road at night, as it was easier to see the edges of the road and not walk or ride off into the ditch, especially nights with no moonlight. While I was not able to see far through the misty fog, probably a maximum radius of 10 to 15 feet. I'd normally see porch lights at the house on the hill a quarter of a mile away, but not this night. The fog created a sound barrier which was made for an eerily quiet walk. The only thing I could hear was my own steps and my bike tires rolling along the smooth dirt road. Well, I managed to get about 200 yards down the road, location, and then they give us the coordinates, but we're not going to get that granular here, and was startled with hearing something off in the distance ahead of me. I hear the brushing sound of tall grass in the field/ditch area to the south side of the road, off to my left. I listened as the sound in the field grew louder as it quickly got closer. I knew right away that it was an animal, but not a small animal. And I could judge by the steps it took as I hear the brushing of grass that it had seemingly long strides. The sound of grass moving stops as whatever it is turns and steps up onto the road facing me. I'm no further than 2 car lengths, about 20 to 30 feet from this animal. I stood in silence as the animal steps out of the ditch and onto the roadside. I hear the sound of gravel being crunched underfoot. There is one slow and heavy crunch. A couple seconds passed, then followed by another slow and heavy crunch. Simply gauging by its steps, I can tell this animal is carrying a lot of weight. It's standing silently on the roadside in the gravel. I was convinced and anticipating a very large buck, simply just judging from the sound and speed as it approached through the grass. I also anticipated hearing 4 hooves in the gravel or a mix of steps from a 4-legged animal, not 2 slow and heavy bipedal footsteps in the gravel. I was perplexed for a second, and my 14-year-old mind is very convinced that it's a buck and there's nothing else it could be. So I'm sticking with that. I froze in hopes that this deer might sense me, dart off in a different direction, or simply just trot right by without even knowing that I was there. I'm now standing in the dark, heavy fog, in the middle of a dirt road, right smack center of 2 large farm fields in a standoff with a deer. Well, I admit my heart was racing out of excitement, but I wasn't scared. I've been around large animals before, cattle, horses, etc., and I wasn't going to back down, let alone run away from a deer. After all, I had no cover, nowhere to run or hide. Well, I quietly swing my bike from my right side to in front of me to act as a barrier. It's all I had to defend myself. My mind was rushing as I anticipated that I was about to be mowed down. I'm standing blind into the darkness with my eyes the size of saucers, fixed straight ahead. I'm standing my ground in an intense standoff. I'm not moving or making any sound, not even a breath. After what seemed like forever, probably more like 5 or 10 seconds, I hear a clear, quick, deep, and precise grunt. I immediately thought, oh, you're a big boy. Wait, what? As I raise my head up from level, the grunt from this creature didn't come from my height or even a head height of a large buck. There are no deer this tall in Ohio that I know of. I'm now focusing to where the vocal type grunt came from. I'm peering into the darkness at nearly twice the height of a deer. I estimated the likeliness of the head height of this creature that of a fully grown draft horse, 7 to 10 feet or more. My thoughts are racing. Can this thing not see me standing in front of it? Does it know what I am? Well, I felt as though it thought I was an animal, anticipating me to startle and scare after this grunt, perhaps in hopes to cause me to run like some sort of prey. I don't think it knew what I was at first, but I felt that it definitely sensed me standing there. Maybe it heard me as I walked off the pavement onto the dirt road. Maybe noise from my steps or the tires of my bike may have caught some attention. I'm feeling a bit easy and a bit confused. Is this what a giant buck sounds like? I'd never heard of a deer grunt before. It sounded very off for a deer. I was confused at the sound it made. It was vocal to the point that it almost seemed human, but if you're playing a recording, I'd swear I'd met a silverback gorilla. To this day, I can hear this sound in my head, and I'll never forget it. I figured if I don't make a move right away, I'm a goner. And I was certain that I was about to be charged and trampled, so I had to act fast. In an attempt to break the tension, I decided to shoo it off. I yelled at the top of my lungs, "Get out of here! Go! Get!" Yelling as if I was telling the neighbor's dog to get off the property. And then dead silence. A couple more seconds of silence goes by, and there's a sound now off to my right and way too close for comfort, less than 20 feet away. I was caught off guard. This thing had come closer, crossed diagonally in front of me, and was silent in doing so. After my yell, I hear as it steps off the road surface, drop down a foot or two into the ditch. This thing is 15 to 20 feet off to my right. By the sounds of it, I don't think it anticipated the large drop off the road into the ditch. I've heard large horses and steer stampede and run through the pasture many times. I can sense the weight of those type of animals by the feel of the vibration on the ground. I estimated the weight by the sound of its steps to be estimated near 500 to 800 pounds, and definitely walking bipedally. This animal is not attempting to be quiet in any way, shape, or form as it left. I almost got the feeling that it was trying to be extra loud, or that it was irritated in some way. It left with intent. As the creature cleared the ditch, all went silent. Whatever it was took off as fast as it approached, with no sounds. I stood still for maybe another minute, gathering myself, dealing with the excitement. I hesitated for a second, and then proceeded forward, making sure there wasn't still another something standing in front of me. I didn't hear anything else and then just proceeded home. This encounter was seared in my memory as if it happened yesterday. I'd forgotten the encounter for 35 years until I started listening to an episode of Sasquatch Chronicles. The caller was describing an interaction with the Sasquatch where the animal gave a vocal type grunt as a warning. The memories came rushing back as if it happened yesterday. I had a rush of anxiety and realization come over me. What I had experienced on that dirt road was not a deer. I started to think back that I'd traveled that road hundreds of times on foot or on bike. And there was another incident that leads me to believe that I'd met this beast once before, on the very same stretch of road. The exact time escapes me. It could have been days or months prior or after. It was not something that raised an eyebrow till after I realized now what I had met. At this time, I was traveling the opposite direction, heading to my friend's house. I was walking or riding my bike, almost reaching the end of the dirt road. The field off to my right, there was a small grain silo near the side of the road. Just past that, there's a small ravine that headed down into the Canoet Creek. I'm probably butchering that. As I passed by this thick brush, I heard a large, deep growl directed towards me. I immediately stopped but couldn't see anything. I thought that one of the neighbor's big dogs was growling at me from inside the brush. Well, I got to my friend's house and told him. My buddy's older brother and his friend headed out to check on it, but came up with nothing. I'd encountered many big dogs in my years, and I knew the bark to growl size ratio pretty well. This was different. There was a guttural, deep growl tone that shook me. To this day, I've not heard a canine that sounded similar, but the bellow of an alligator could be spot on. There's another time that I could say this creature was near me when I was headed home. On one occasion, during the dark hours while riding my bike home from the same friend's house, I'd reached the house just past the first incident, and I had an awful, overwhelming sense of doom and fear come over me, unlike anything I've ever encountered. Needless to say, I rode as fast as physically possible to leave that area. I would ride that same stretch days later, and I wouldn't raise an eyebrow as to what was in the darkness. There have been many sightings of this animal in this exact area of northeast Ohio, northwest Pennsylvania, and gives a reference to the BFRO for the past 30 or 60 years. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably a family group in there. That's pretty crazy. Huh. That's a pretty intense story. And again, it wasn't really visual, but sounds like he was in close proximity several times to this thing. It's crazy. I mean, just in a heartbeat, that kid could have been missing, just gone. So you got to believe that they really just want to get us away from them for whatever reasons. Maybe it's hunting, maybe it's, looking for things to eat, and along comes a person and that irritates the hell out of them. But if it wanted this kid dead, he'd be dead. I mean, 14-year-old kid against something like that it's just going to be over in a heartbeat. So pretty crazy stuff, but great story. And I'm glad we got to finish it tonight. Thank God. After last night, I was like, oh no. I purposely didn't read the rest of it after I did get things running, because I wanted to go through it together. That's part of the fun of this. It's going through these stories together. Good to see you guys. Great to see everybody coming into the chats. Good to have you all here. All right, we're going to go to another one from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. And again, please check out the blog over at Sasquatch Chronicles. Wes does an incredible job. He's always keeping it current, even when he's not feeling like really good. This one is a voice memo that was sent to Wes on August 15th from a listener. Tim sent a voice memo of his encounter. He writes, I'm more of a spoken word person, so sent you a voice memo. Tim's encounters took place off of Vancouver Island. Take a listen. Well, I think we will. Thanks, Wes. Appreciate all the content, brother. All right, let's listen to this and hear what Tim said.
Hey, Wes. Long-time listener here. My name's Tim. And first and foremost, brother, I just wanted to thank you for what you've been doing for so many years. I've listened to God knows how many hundreds of your episodes, and hearing so many people who are like in a bad way, like PTSD and just straight up traumatized. And you playing the role of like just shutting up, holding space and listening. So I really wanted to thank you for that. You've made a big difference for a lot of people. It's pretty clear. So both of my encounters are off the coast of Vancouver Island. The first real one was in a place called Fanny Bay. It's right across from Denman Island, which is where the second encounter took place, small Gulf Island. And so it wasn't until I found your podcast and started listening to all these things that I realized that these things that I had experienced, because I never really directly, saw one. I guess I did, but the lighting was pretty poor. That it allowed me to piece together like, oh shit, that's what that was. So the first was in Fanny Bay. We lived on half an acre that backed onto this estuary, and the front part of the estuary that our yard went to was pretty thick woods for about 200 feet, maybe not even 150 feet, before it turned into this kind of grassy estuary that would flood at high tide. But the little bit of woods from our place looped around into a pretty big forest. Maybe, I'm going to say 50 to 100 acres, grand total of woods out to the highway. And my daughter was about 1 at the time, maybe a little bit older, but she was a baby. We had just gotten her down. It was maybe, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. It was dark, just dark. And we were enjoying a glass of wine, and we were chatting back and forth, and then there was, a comfortable silence between the two of us during the conversation. And suddenly there is what I can only describe as the sound of a truck, an SUV, a bulldozer, no engine sound, just the size of something huge just crashing through the woods, right on the tree line. And it's crash, 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 and then a brief pause, and then a lion roaring, the MGM Grand lion roaring, but out of a concert stadium sized sound system, loud, you've heard it from so many people, and I'm sure you've heard it yourself. Gut rattling loud, followed by, what I can only describe as a fear on my end that me and my wife, we just ran inside and slammed the slider door and looked at each other what the fuck was that? But right away, I
apologize for the language, but it's straight from the source. It's that emotional for the guy, so you can't hold that against him. But my apologies to any of you that don't like the cussing. Anyway, let's continue.
You try to be logical, and I'm well, cougar, lion roaring. That was obviously a cougar, just crashed through the bush, probably killed a deer. You know, how crazy is that? I mean, Vancouver Island, they don't even know how many cougars there are on this island. It's like the highest population in the world. So, yeah, that's what that was. Sure, cool. Wasn't until I started listening to your show years later that I heard someone say the exact same thing. It sounded like, and I paused, I was like, please don't say a lion roaring, please don't say a lion roaring. And they're like, a lion roaring. I was like, oh my God. I wonder if that's what it was. So I was like, no, it was a cougar. It was a cougar. So I Google cougar roaring, and it turns out cougars can't roar. That big cats can either purr or they can roar. They can't do both. And cougars can purr, but they can't roar. So that was some sort of confirmation for me. If it wasn't Sasquatch, I don't know what it was, but I would never want to bump into it. That's for damn sure. So we ended up selling that place a couple years later. We bought a tract of land on Denman, 1 hectare, 2.5 kilometers, or 2.5 acres. And it's like forest, like a dense second growth Douglas fir forest that backs onto a 50-acre nature reserve. It was just absolute West Coast forest. And we selectively logged a small portion of it, and over the years I built a homestead. And my homestead consisted of a 32-foot diameter yurt that I then framed rooms onto, a bedroom addition and a bathroom, kind of laundry room addition. So the yurt itself was just one big open area that was our kitchen and living room, and a big space for free movement for hosting people. And we're really big into ecstatic dance and partying and stuff, so we just wanted a big space to entertain. But at this point, hadn't built a bedroom addition, so we were all sleeping in that space. And so there was our bed, and next to it was our daughter's bed. She was probably 4 or 5 at the time. And this is like middle of February, Pacific Northwest. It is cold. It is pissing rain. And we're all asleep, and I wake up to, and at this point, really all I knew about Sasquatch, this was still before I found your podcast, was tree knocks. I had seen it on some documentary on TV about them communicating with tree knocks. So fast asleep, 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up to what could only be described as world's strongest man, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, vaporizing a baseball bat or a tree limb against a tree that had to have been like not 20 feet from our yurt, like right outside. And again, so loud that like it almost hurt my ears in the yurt. And I'm bolt upright, shitting my pants. My heart is racing, thinking, was that a dream? Or like, did you just actually hear that? And then I hear way in the back 40, like way further than anything could have run in that time. We're talking, it was within the span of 5 to 10 seconds later. Whack, 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 and answer 5 whacks against a tree. I laid awake all night, just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, that's either 2 people stomping through the woods at 3 a.m. in February, which is scary in and of itself, or it's what I think it was. And now the final encounter, which again, this happened before I discovered your show, and I didn't know what to make of it because, so full disclosure at this time, and if you do choose to have me on the show, I don't know if I'll go into this or not. But I am, I guess, what you would call a modern day occultist or magician. I've been studying the workings of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and other kind of Western esoteric practices for many years. And people, I know, get that mixed up with, like, I don't know, demonic worship or Satanism, or they don't really know what it is or how it works, and especially Christian or people with Christian backgrounds get the wrong idea. But so I've been doing this thing called the middle pillar ritual, which is ultimately a meditation that's used to develop your brain's ability to visualize things. And so I'm sitting in what's the bedroom edition that I've now built, and the terrain that my place is built on kind of gently slopes. So the far addition only sits like maybe 3 feet up off the ground. It's kind of like on stilts. And then as the yurt progresses further and further, the height off the ground grows. So the bedroom addition is the highest off the ground. And there's my bed. Next to my bed, there's a 5-foot-long window. After that, there's another 5-foot-long window. And then it's the corner of the buildings, and then 90 degrees. So what I would be looking at the wall I'm facing sitting up in bed, which is a slider door, which is like, 6.5, 7 foot wide, full slider glass door. So pretty much the walls that I'm next to and in front of, it's all glass the whole way down. And I measured from the ground up to the middle of the window I'm sitting next to was 10 feet. And so I'm mid ritual, like mid meditation, and I hear nothing. I'm just in it. And right as I finish the meditation, I take a deep breath, and then right next to me, I hear the very distinct sound of knuckles tapping on glass, like knock, knock, knock. And so like not a bug buzzing into a window, not a bird flying into a window, and it's like 10:30 at night. There's no birds flying around. This was like someone knocking on a window, on a car window or on the window right next to me. And so I am startled, and I turn my head to look out the window, and all I see is this black mass, because it's dark out. There is a moon, but maybe like a quarter moon. So I can see like the vague silhouettes of trees, and this is blocking them out. So I can definitely see like its shape against the trees, but no definition. And again, it was hard to explain the shape until I found your podcast and I looked at your logo. And if you draw a line on like the Sasquatch silhouette on your logo of like just below its, like where its nipples would be, I'd say straight across, that like shoulder, no neck hump of a head and shoulder. But it takes up like the whole window, which is 5 feet wide. Most of the window anyways. It took up at least 4 of the 5 feet. And I'm like, I cock my head like, what am I even looking at right now? And then it kind of changes shape, and I realize now it was going from facing me straight on to it turning almost 90 degrees. And then it just drifts, it just floats. The plane of its head doesn't change. That was another like thing from listening to all of these different encounters, was like how they glide, how they don't have the gait, the bobbing head of a human gait. It just glides. So it glides all the way to the end of my room, and then it turns 90 degrees, and it glides all the way across the slider door, and it's gone. But no footfalls, no thudding. I figured like if there was an 800-pound animal walking out my door, I probably would have felt tremors. But yeah, I didn't know what to make of that. And I went out the next day and like looked around, and again, I wasn't like looking for sign of a Sasquatch. So I wasn't really paying attention to like footprints. I didn't see anything, but then again, I wasn't really looking. I went out to like measure up to the window to be like, what could that have been? And at the time, like I said, because of the ritual stuff I was doing, I had some like really weird experiences, weird things. And that's the thing with magical practice, with like Western esoteric practice, that when you do really get serious about it, you do start having some weird stuff happen. That's all I'd say. And I honestly thought it was linked to that. And I mean, who knows with the ultra high strangeness of Sasquatch, very well could have been linked to that. I don't know. And now my final one just happened not too long ago, the end of July. We were at a music festival called Pachina Bay Music Festival that takes place at this campground on the west coast of Vancouver Island called Pachina Bay. Super magic place. If you Google that bay, it is like just one of the most beautiful places on the island for sure. And so one of the vendors, and like walking around this campground and in the woods, trail systems, I was like, dude, this place definitely has Sasquatch energy. And one of the vendors was a vendor from the local native band. The reservation is like right behind this campground. They run the campground. And she was selling all these like trinkets and stickers and stuff. And I pull up this one sticker, and it's like a native design of Bukwas, right? There's Bukwas and Zinnequa, the wild man and the wild woman of the woods. And I hold it up and I smile, and I'm like, what do you think about this? That's all I said. What do you think about this? And she looks me dead in the eye with this really serious look and tone in her voice. And she goes, yeah, they're real. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. And she's like, I've seen them. My brothers and sisters have seen them. She goes, they're all over this place. I was like, okay, that's totally not what I was expecting you to say, but holy confirmation. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Thanks for your time. And I leave, and later on that night, we danced till the wee hours, and it was unusually warm that day, and I was super kind of hot and sweaty from dancing. And we walked back to camp, and we were camped right on the ocean, right on the water. And I decided to go for like a midnight dip just to cool off. And I run down to the water, and again, if you Google it, it's this bay that's like super set in. So there's these two tracts of forest that go like many kilometers out on either side of the bay, all the way to like the Pacific proper. And I stop and I look up to my left, and I see like the lights of the festival, and they stop, and then there's still like a big tract of beach, and then it 90s onto these two sides of the bay. And way down the bay, and like there's nothing out there, just woods. There's no settlements, there's no houses, and it's like deep forest. I mean, no one's going to be walking out there. I mean, maybe people do, but I don't know. At this point, I really doubt it. And out on the point is this like blinding green light. And I'm thinking like, oh, maybe there's like a house out there, or I was like, that light's too bright for like a flashlight or like a headlamp. Like it's really bright. And I'm like, and it's really high up in the trees. Like I can see it in the tree tops. Can see the tree tops like almost swaying. I'm like, what am I looking at right now? I'm like, I kind of shrug like, oh, whatever. And I jump into the water, and I pop back up, and I get to the water, and as I'm toweling off, I look back up, and it's gone. It's gone. And then right away, I'm like, fuck, the lights. I wonder if that's what that was. Anyways, that's my story. Hit me back. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to say I'd love to be on the show. I'd go on the show if you'd had me, but it's not really why I'm contacting you. I don't know, your show kind of helped me put pieces together, and this whole topic is highly intriguing, and I just felt like I owed it to you to reach out and tell you my story. So thanks again. Take care.
That's really interesting. I think that's a great take. Now, during the narrative, if you weren't watching the chat, you might have missed it, but Rachel had a good point, and that was when he was hearing the tapping on the glass, and it was a great take. She said, "Well, Clearly it knows not to knock too hard, otherwise it would break it. So, I mean, that's like that's intelligence. That's knowledge. And so it must not have been his first rodeo as far as tapping on people's glass. The other interesting thing is the gliding. It saw this creature gliding. Now, if you listen to Claire's encounter, which is probably one of the most famous Sasquatch Chronicles encounters that is actually on the intro that I played earlier, but she's the lady with the English accent, and she talks about when the big one comes out of the water, it glides up the beach. She said it's like it didn't bob at all. Like there was no up and down. It was just this gliding motion. It was surreal for her to observe that. And again, this gentleman, Tim, is explaining the same thing. And I find that fascinating. That's actually a great way to evaluate a lot of videos that people submit. Oh, this is Bigfoot. I saw Bigfoot. And then you watch it and it's just somebody that's probably in a suit, but they're bouncing around as they're walking in it. And it's not fluid. It's not that seamless motion. That's, even if you look at Patty, if you didn't see Patty from the waist down as she's walking across the Bluff Creek there, I mean, she's very smoothly, her upper body isn't going up and down with these strides. It's just very smooth carrying through. And I use that a lot in looking at video evidence. Just that mechanic alone can remove so much of the crap, because, I mean, if a person is in a suit, generally speaking, when people walk, they bounce anyway with no suit on. But you put a huge suit on them, and it's just going to be even more comical and awkward. And when you see that, it's like, there was one that was out there. There was from a eagle's nesting cam, and it was looking down on these logs that were, had fallen in the forest around. And there's a figure, and it looks like somebody probably wearing some sort of, winter gear, like puffy and stuff. And people are like, possible Sasquatch. But then you look at it, and this person is awkward as hell. I mean, no, very, very tentative balance on these logs, and not smooth, not fluid. And it's like, I didn't believe for a second that was legitimate. But again, it was a claim that was made and put out there. So yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff. And that's really what I said in chat is, this is why I love witness testimony. It's not always the big story. It's the little details that people mention. It's like, oh, it tapped on the glass. It didn't. Obviously, this is a big creature. It could have just went right through it. And a person could too, obviously. But, I mean, if something is this strong and this much power and force, knocking on glass could shatter it really easily. But yet it was using just the right amount of pressure to make the noise, but not excessive enough to cause damage. It was a very restrained motion, and that to me is intelligent. So it's interesting that, this is what you can glean from witness testimony, these little details that you might overlook, a bunch of times. I probably wouldn't have noticed that at all if Rachel hadn't said that. I was like, oh, that's a great take. That's a great thing to consider. So fantastic, Rachel. I appreciate you putting that in chat. So, but I'll tell you what, folks, we reached the 9 o'clock mark. This is the end of our show tonight here on the portal. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, check out the Sasquatch Chronicles episode I hosted. Hope I did okay. I had a lot of fun doing it. Again, special thanks to Wes for letting me do that. That was amazing. Really cool experience, because Sasquatch Chronicles has been a part of my life forever, and Wes has been a wonderful friend in helping me do the portal through the years, and it's been a great sounding board. I bounce ideas off of him. I have him listen to clips, listen to something I've thrown together, and he's been just a big part of my journey in this. So check it out. Hopefully you feel I did okay. Anyway, don't think I have anything else to share right now, but I'll be back on Wednesday again, and perhaps you'll join me. So we do these live shows Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, or whatever that means for your time zone, wherever you are. Feel free to tune in, spread the word, let other people know. Oh, it was a great Sasquatch Chronicles episode. Aw, thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. Thanks, Grandizer. I appreciate that as well. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for all the love and support you guys continue to bring to the portal and to me personally. It really does go a long way and to keep me pushing forward, trying to make this into more than what it is currently. And you guys are right at the heart of that and right at the heart of me. So thank you so much for all the love and support and encouragement. Thank you for watching the videos. If you're not catching them live, thank you for your likes and your comments. When you leave them, they really help me a bunch. And I'll be back on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I might have some company, I'm just saying. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's it for the show. Hope you guys have a great night. Have a great rest of your weekend. And watch for the new podcast coming out Monday. Until then, I will talk to you soon. Remember, I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I will talk to you guys soon. And follow me on social media. Go to paranormalportal.net for all of our social media, all of the details of where you can find the Paranormal Portal if you're not already familiar with it. And I'll see you Wednesday. Good night, everybody. Roll the credits.